Another day, another Guy Ritchie movie, and this man has had such a mixed impact on me. I like some of his movies, and then he makes some real stinker movies that I cannot really stand whatsoever. So, where do I lean on this movie? Did I like it, or did I not like it at all? Well, stick around and find out. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a true story about a secret British World War II organization, the Special Operations Executive, founded by Winston Churchill. Their irregular warfare against the Germans helped to change the course of the war and gave birth to modern black operations. The film stars Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, Henry Golden, Alex Pettyfer, and Eiza González, and was directed by Guy Ritchie, and he's done the Sherlock Holmes films, Aladdin, The Covenant, Wrath of Man, King Arthur, and Operation Fortune. Going into the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I was very skeptical going into it because a lot of my peers' actual ratings and scores were very mediocre. A few people did say that they really did enjoy this film, but I'm always all over the map with this guy. I like films like Aladdin, The Covenant, and Wrath of Man, but then he makes films like Operation Fortune, The Gentleman, King Arthur, and he just makes a mixed bag, and you kind of never know what to expect from him. There are a few positives that I can say that came out of this film. I think the starting action scene, the knife play, I thought that was really cool. And I think a lot of the action scenes here are actually done well. There's a part where they're on a boat and they have this really good choreography, and the camera work is done pretty well. It's definitely a lot better than, say, a movie like Monkey Man. I was very surprised how the camera was really steady and you can really follow the characters. They invaded this Nazi camp and they took out all the Nazis. They're blowing them to bits. They blow up the camp. They even have a machine gun and they're going nuts with it. And I was like, this is a really good time. I actually do enjoy the action scenes in this movie when they're actually done. As far as characters, the only one that I could say that I really got into was Eiza González. I thought she put on a pretty decent performance despite the lack of script for her. Even though she was on screen at certain points and she did play a pivotal role in certain little aspects of the movie, I did enjoy her when she was actually on screen, but that's not to say that this film has a whole list of negatives to go along with it. For starters, the pacing in this film is just terrible. I mentioned that I did enjoy the action scenes, but in the first hour of this film, there's only 2 action scenes, and honestly, they probably only take about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, if that, but the film, it just was not very engaging to me. I never really had a reason to care about any of the characters. They don't really develop anybody whatsoever, and I felt like a lot of times in this film that the characters, they didn't really have a lot of challenges or obstacles. They would just go from scene to scene, and it seemed like it was very easy for them to just blow things up, defeat everybody, and it just didn't seem like they really had a villain that would really go after them and really fight back. And I just felt like it was like, okay, there's not really much of a problem here. They just kind of are doing their thing and we're going to the next scene. In the trailer, it seemed like this film was going to be a funny film filled with quite a bit of comedy. And I honestly thought this film lacked a lot of humor. And when the jokes were there, I was like, this isn't funny whatsoever. I never found myself going, oh, that's a really clever joke or that's really funny. And I think that really goes hand in hand with the performances themselves. I felt like they were kind of flat at times. I felt like nobody really put on any special performance. And I think that really goes with the dialogue as well, as I never really felt like the dialogue was written very engaging. Like, I felt like I was very bored when the characters were just talking about random nonsense. The music in the film was very dull as well. There would be a lot of scenes where our characters would be going from scene to scene, and you have a cymbal that you hear where the drumsticks are just hitting the cymbal, constantly going that's your music for at least a good hour of the film. And I was like, man, be a little bit more inventive than that. I mean, it was really boring me. And then I was just hoping that this film would have a lot more humor and just action and big explosions. And I felt like there was just a lot of missed opportunities because I felt the action scene in the first part of the movie, I was like, okay, I actually enjoy this. This is pretty cool. But then it goes back into days before, And then we get our story and we get to learn a little bit about as to what is going on. And I was like, okay, I get it. We're going back in time to try to, connect this story. But I just didn't think the story was all that great. And towards the end of the film, I did mention that there was some really good choreography, but there was a lot of parts where they're just using these guns and using a silencer and just shooting people like that. And I was like, this is kind of blah. I mean, they could have had a little bit more, maybe some more explosions, something a little bit more engaging. And by the time the film actually ended, I was like, man, I'm so glad this film is over, because it just didn't really connect with me whatsoever. I mean, besides a few action scenes, I never cared about the characters. I never really cared about the story whatsoever. And the dialogue at points was just putting me to sleep. So as far as the score for this film, I can only give it a 2 out of 5. It just wasn't a good film. I can't recommend it. I know that it actually failed at the box office. I think it was like a budget of around $60 million. And I think it made a little bit over $20 million. So it was definitely a failure at the box office, and it's actually already available on digital. With all that in mind, though, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Did you check it out in theater, or are you going to check it out on digital now that it is available at home viewing, or are you going to skip it altogether? And also leave a comment below. What do you guys think about Guy Ritchie? Do you like his films? Do you hate his films? Do you think that you're just kind of mixed on him like I am? Leave any and all comments down below. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.